Talk about a rough start to the year for the stock market, and guys, the day's not even over yet. It's currently about 2:45, 2:50 p.m. right now on the East Coast, and we have the S&P and the Russell each down 0.8%. The Dow's down about 0.1%, not doing much, pretty much at break even, but get ready for this, man. The Nasdaq's down over 1.8%, down almost 2% on the day, as we're seeing a lot of big tech stocks collapse, quote unquote, and really it's one stock that's causing the Nasdaq to get beat up pretty badly today. So we have a lot to go over in this video, what that one stock is, of course, and we'll break down some other stocks, the markets in general. So if y'all find value, hit that like button, make sure to subscribe. The goal for this year is to hit 50,000 subscribers. I think it's possible, so make sure to subscribe and follow me on X. You might as well do that at Stocks Talk Stocks, link down below. And with that being said, cheers, let's dive right into the video. So it's 2:45, 2:50 p.m. right now on the East Coast, and clearly we're starting off the year on a red note. Like I said, all the indexes are in the red, some more than others, and really it's the big tech stocks that are getting hit. And oops, there goes a timer, guys. Oops, I forgot about that timer. Let me click repeat there or stop, whatever. But yeah, we're starting off the year with a pretty bad, well, I wouldn't say it's bad necessarily. We're just selling off a bit after we had such a strong end off to the year of 2023, and we had a strong year in general in 2023, right? Now we're seeing SPY arguably pull down towards that 180 SMA on the 4-hour chart, being about 460, 465. That's where it could pull down to, and even if it does that, the uptrend would obviously still be intact. That'd be a healthy pullback, in my opinion, if it were to come down again 460, 465, right by the 180 SMA. Maybe Triple Q does the same thing. I mean, you guys can see it's pretty much at the 180 SMA right now at 398, 400. That's a big spot here for Triple Q. And, you know, we'll see if support or buyers come in and hold that as support. That'd obviously be huge. That would be huge for the bulls. So watch out for that, guys. Now we're at a point where we were overbought on the RSI, and now it's actually oversold on the 4-hour chart here, not only on Triple Q, you guys can see down here at the bottom right, but also on SPY, we can see the RSIs come down a good chunk, and on the Russell and the Dow Jones, for that matter, guys, maybe not as much here on the Russell. It's still pretty overbought according to the RSI, and the Dow is pretty overbought still as well, but either way, we're looking at the red here, maybe as an opportunity. Maybe it's a short-term, dip. And we do get a pop around the 180 SMA on Triple Q, which I'm watching very closely, and on SPY, which we're approaching literally right now. So markets are selling off to start off the year, and really it's because of one company, and that company is Apple, ticker symbol AAPL. Their stock is down over 4% on the day, down over $8. It was at almost $200 about 2 weeks ago. Now it's down to 184, which really is not that big of a pullback, but it is 7%, guys, and 7% for a company the size of Apple. Yeah, that's a big move. We're talking billions of dollars, and it's down 7%, which of course is going to drag down the Nasdaq. And if a stock's down the size of Apple 4% in a day, you bet your you-know-what that day, it's going to drag down other big tech stocks, and of course the Nasdaq in general, which is a tech index, right? It makes sense that we're having a red day as Apple's down over 4%. Now, the question is, why is Apple down over 4%? Well, let me show you this. I'll pull up the CNBC article, and you can see the headline right here. It says, Apple shares slipped nearly 4%. Now it's actually over 4%, like we just saw, after Barclays downgrade. You guys can see, downgrade. Not a good sign for the short term here. So you guys can see, if I come down a bit on this article, let me zoom in a bit as well. Apple slid 4% on Tuesday after Barclays downgraded the stock to underweight and slightly trimmed its price target from 161 to 160 bucks. All right, $1 slim or trim. Not that bad. But Barclays analyst Tim Long wrote in a note to clients on Tuesday that the iPhone 15's current, quote, lackluster sales, specifically in China, presage similarly weak iPhone 16 sales, weakness that Long expects will hold true for Apple's hardware sales broadly. He said, quote, we're still picking up weakness on iPhone volumes and mix, as well as a lack of bounce backs in Macs, iPads, and wearables, which you guys know those have been struggling a little bit in recent quarters. Well, really the last quarter from my memory. And analysts and investors had noticed specific weakness in China iPhone sales as far back as October, guys. So that would do it right there. The fact that they got downgraded a little bit there, the price target got slashed by a whopping dollar, and there's really no improvement in the weakness in Macs, iPads, and wearables, which, you know, we're seeing some weakness in those products, like I said. So at this point, Apple is in free fall mode, essentially. It's under the 50 SMA, under the 180 SMA here on the 4-hour chart as well, and it looks like the next main support is 180, 182, 183, which was the high, it looks like, here from the middle of October right here. So maybe that's where we find support. And honestly, this looks a bit tempting for a bounce back trade. I think it's coming. I think a relief rally is coming. We don't know for sure when, but it's getting pretty oversold here, guys. Again, it's down 7% over the past couple of weeks, 2 weeks. And it's not going to last forever. This weakness in the short term is not going to last forever. And I think we're due for some sort of bounce back, maybe towards 190, maybe a little bit above, a little bit under that. But either way, AAPL, keep your eyes on it, on that news. And we have a couple other ones here, guys. I think Rivian's one worth looking at as well, which we're seeing weakness in Rivian. It's down about 11% right now on news that their numbers, I believe their delivery numbers, were not as good as projected or as good as the stock had priced in. So you guys can see they produced 57,232 vehicles and delivered about 50,000 vehicles in full year 23. And it looks like here that exceeded management's most recent full year 23 production guidance of 54,000. So I'm not sure why the stock's selling off. I guess they didn't beat the guidance by as much as they wanted to. I don't know. Maybe the stock was pricing in a bigger beat. We'll see. But that is what we got, guys. That's the number that we got. And it beat the full year number, but I guess not good enough for investors. So Rivian's down 11%. And this is after it got pretty overbought, let's be honest. It ran from $16 to $25. Now we're approaching the 180 SMA at $19, $20. This could end up being potentially a dip buy opportunity on Rivian. I'm actually seriously looking at this as a trade right around 19, 20, 21 bucks. I think it's interesting. So Rivian, RIVN, add it to your watch list. So the next one I want to look at quickly here, guys, is AMD, Advanced Micro Devices. Let me pull it up and show you. This one's also taking a beating today. Do you guys notice a pattern here? Yeah, this one's also taking a beating today as it's down over 6%, now down almost 6.5%. And this is after it hit a fresh 52-week high, looks like on the last day of trading of last year. So AMD is approaching now the 180 SMA, which you guys can see clearly. We've held that over the past couple of weeks here. Let me zoom in and show you. We held it here in the beginning of last month, and now we're approaching it again. So let's see if buyers come in anywhere from 128, 130, 135 on AMD. That's kind of where I'm watching it very closely here on the weakness. The next one here is Moderna, mRNA, which is pharmaceutical, I guess a biotech, healthcare company, whatever you want to call it. And a lot of these healthcare companies, right, like Pfizer, Moderna, Novavax, and by the way, we talked about Pfizer a couple of videos ago, right? These are all exploding today. Moderna's up 12.5%. We have Novavax, NVAX, let me pull it up. This one's up on the day about 6%, although this one I'm not a big fan of. I think it's pretty risky. But Pfizer I do like. I'm actually building a position right now as a long-term play. I started buying this, I think, a couple days ago, under $29 per share in the mid 28s, and now just earlier today, it was over $30 per share. So yeah, these are starting to reverse a little bit. I mean, they're not fully breaking out yet, but Pfizer, Moderna, these are ones I'm watching closely. Really, Moderna is now starting to break out aggressively here on the 4-hour chart. We got news that they got upgraded, I believe, by Oppenheimer. Moderna upgraded to outperform from perform at Oppenheimer. Now they announced an $142 price target. So keep your eyes on Moderna, guys, and all those names that I just mentioned. We'll do more updates on them moving forward. And the last one here, guys, is Planet Fitness. PLNT is the ticker, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago when it was at about 64, 65. Now we filled the gap to about 72, 73, and now we're arguably on the way, or on the verge of breaking out and maybe filling this gap right here towards $83 to $84. You guys can see that's where the stock was back in the end of April of last year. So this could be where we start pushing. It's not going to be one that explodes fairly quickly, in my opinion. It's one of those slower moving stocks, but it's one worth watching. PLMT in this window right here. And now, as as I was making the video, markets have gotten even worse. Now the Russell's down over 1%. It was down 0.8% earlier in the video, and we have the S&P down 1% as well. Dow's now down about 0.25%, and we have the Nasdaq down over 2%. Now it's actually down almost 2.25. Holy crap. Now the triple Q is at what? 400 points, right by the 180 SMA right now. So yeah, it's taking a bit of a beating as Apple's down, like I said, now 4.5%. We have Google down on the day. Everything's pretty much down. And if you think we're going to get a bounce back, I'll leave you guys at this. A risky way you can trade that is by looking at something like TQQQ, which is a 3x leveraged bull ETF on the NASDAQ 100. So let's say the NASDAQ 100 or QQQ bounces back about 3%, let's say, over the next couple of days, right? TQQQ could go up 9%. There goes my stupid alarm again. TQQQ could go up about 9% in that situation, right? If it goes up the NASDAQ 3%. So yeah, keep your eyes on TQQQ. I'm not saying for sure we're going to bounce back, but I'm watching it. And yeah, that's it. If you all found value, hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. Get your free stocks from Moomoo. Up to 15 stocks, each up to $2,000. Just use that link down below. Fund your account at least $100. You get 5 stocks. And fund your account at least $1,000. You get 10 more stocks. Each of those up to $2,000 as well. So 15 stocks, each up to $2,000. So get on it. Use that link down below or go to StockSurfest.com/Moomoo, and I'll catch you all in the next video.